Hello, I am going to do a special effects makeup tutorial of a Venetian mask. The kind of carnival ones, you get the full face ones. I am going to do sort of the harlequin pattern that has the big diamonds on the face. I'm going to start with these colors, and I'm going to use the white. And these are watercolor paints. You just use regular tap water. You can either use the paintbrush that comes with it, or you can use a big one if you need to cover a large area like I'm going to use. I just use regular old paintbrushes or makeup brushes. I don't really care which I use, I'll use both. The music I have playing in the background is Phantom of the Opera, Lindsay Sterling, because I felt like it fit the theme a bunch. Right now I'm just wetting the paint with the brush. I dipped it in the water a little bit. Now I'm working it in so I get a nice thick one, because I don't want it to look streaky or anything. Okay. Now I'm just going to start painting my face all over. It's really weird doing this in a webcam because I'm used to doing it with a mirror. See, that's a little bit thin, so I'm going to mix it up a little more. You want to get everything covered with the white, because most of them are traditionally white to begin with. I'm just using the white. You see this goes a long way because I just now reloaded it. And you don't want to add water every time you reload it, because if you do, it's going to get really thin and streaky. Actually, the less water you use, the thicker it's going to be. And you want to cover your lips too, because they don't have colorful lips on those. You might need more than one coat at some point, but this is a lot easier to take off at the end of the night than the cream based or anything else. This time I'm adding a tiny bit more water. I just dip the very tip of the paintbrush into the water just so I can get it worked out a little bit more. I've used this paint before to do a mask on my face because I was too lazy to actually make the mask. It was the mask from Cheshire, or Mask of Cheshire from Young Justice, which is a villain in the Marvel universe who chose her name and costume, let's be honest, to be based off the Cheshire Cat. So it's got this big giant Cheshire Cat smile. Got a little bit into my hair, ignore that. It's a lot easier when you're not looking at a webcam that mirrors your reflection. Yes, I am doing my eyes closed a little bit because it's easier for me to keep track of what I'm doing. I'm looking in a webcam. And you do want to get over your eyes. Be careful to not jam it into your eye, because then it'll start kind of burning a little bit. You do want to try covering up your eyebrows. They're thicker like mine, don't worry, we'll go over them with another color later. And this just comes up with water and soap at the end of the night. And you do kind of want to use, after you go put the harlequin stripes, you kind of want to use a darker color around your eyes, because it's really hard to get all the way into the tips of your eyes without screaming in pain. Now, I don't want to go onto my neck or anything, I just want to stay on the edge of my chin, because then it will look like an actual mask when I go to cover it up later. Or when I do the edge later, I should say. I'm not going to cover it up. Heck no, I just spent all this time covering up my face with paint. Don't worry about the streaks, you can fix that. Do more coats. You don't want to squint when you're covering up your eyes, because if you squint you get a bunch of wrinkles. So you want to close your eye and then kind of do the thing when you go to put on regular eye makeup. Right now I'm just trying to cover up my eyebrows a little more, so they don't show through as much. It's a lot easier if you're blonde, because your eyebrows will cover up a lot easier. But, you know me, I'm a brunette, so... that music was supposed to repeat itself. Now, I don't use the cream-based makeup you can get at like Walmart, because that stuff really doesn't cover well. It's only good if you want it to look thin, like you're trying to be a ghost or something. So if you're trying to be a ghost, by all means use that. And it also wipes off really easy, so... The webcam's sitting there. Now I think it's probably not the right brush to use for this, but you know what? It's covering my face really well, so sticking with it. I'll touch it up later. Now, I'm gonna clean my brush off, so I don't want that getting all over my bed, because yes, I am sitting on my bed to do this. I know the makeup dads hate me. Alrighty. So now we're going to get a smaller brush. Use this angled paintbrush right here. It's a nice flat tip. I also use this for my makeup. Yeah, make it pretty. I use paintbrushes for makeup. I use makeup brushes for paint and face painting. So I mean, it's a little bit of everything. Now I'm going to do the same. Now I'm going to use the red. I'm going to do the same thing I did. I'm going to work it into the paint so it gets nice and thick. I actually learned this technique to make the paint look thick when I used to go to my high school. We used to do, art class would go around and do window paintings every winter, and we would do a kind of Christmassy theme on the windows, like each person would reserve one or claim one, whatnot, and we would just take watercolor paint and make these really pretty window paintings. One of my final one, I ended up covering the whole window, and it looked like this whole scene of a Christmas tree and everything. Alright, I'm going to do, go kind of actual Harley Quinn, and I'm going to do, I might need a real mirror for this. 1 second. Sorry about that. I had to figure out how the heck I was going to do this and not get thrown off my webcam mirroring what I can see. So we're going to use my phone as a mirror for a second, just so I can see what I'm doing. I'm going to do a straight line. Make a giant diamond on my face. I'm going to fill it in after the other lines. You want it to look like a straight line when you're looking straight on. So right now it looks a little jagged. I'm going to fill that in now. And fix the edges a little bit. The red's a little bit smaller, so I have to reload it with water a lot more often. The colors covered a lot easier than the white did for your eyebrows. When I did the Cheshire Mask, I used the black, and you literally couldn't see my eyebrows anymore. So the darker you go, the easier it is to hide things. Most makeup artists like working from the edges in. I do say that sometimes, but then I kind of jump around and fill it in as I go, just because I don't want to have to deal with the corners and whatnot. It's okay if it's not perfectly even, because later on we're gonna fix that. Because they all have fancy edges, those Venetian masks. When it's a smaller palette, you gotta reload, and a smaller brush, you gotta reload the water a lot more often. And work it back in. Now be careful around your eye, you don't wanna get it in your eye. It's safe if you do, but in my experience, if you get it in your eye will start to water, and then you have to do it all over again, which is not fun. I'm just gonna redo music real quick because it annoys me when I'm not hearing any music. Really weird like that. Because I want this a little straighter, I'm actually going to go out a little bit from the actual thing, so it looks straighter. straight on. So this actually needs to go out a little more too. Over that eyelid a little bit more. Now you don't want the watercolor to be drippy. When you mix it, you want it to be looking almost cakey. That way you don't get the streaks as much. Alright, now we're doing the other one. And the forehead is one of the easier ones to do. I'm going to use Harley Quinn inspired color scheme because she is the best Harley Quinn ever, in my opinion. And any Marvel or any DC fan. And I find that when you're mixing up watercolor paints, dipping just the tip of the brush into the water gives you exactly the right amount. I'm gonna need one. On this edge. I'm really good at eyeballing. You may have to put the other color in and then work from there. Depends on how good you are at estimating where something needs to go. Now we don't need to cover our ears at all because the Venetian Mask only goes to the edge of the face. So I'll be cleaning it up around here later. Now we clean off our brush because we're done with the red for now. Our napkin or paper towel or whatever you're using. Dry it off. And I usually always start with the white just because that's how you know for a fact you're not going to mix any other colors into it, especially if you're using the same brushes. And I am. Now I am using this black watercolor paint, which is by Wolf. It is probably the best makeup paint I've ever encountered in my entire time doing special effects makeup, which has been about 4 or 5 years now. And I've had this the entire time, and as you see, I've only made a tiny dent in it. So it goes really far. So we're just gonna do the same kind of thing we did with the other watercolor. We're gonna mix it in until it's nice and thick. And then we're going to start the other diamond. And this one, we kind of just connect the points. I try to go light to dark with the colors that I use. Just because it's a lot easier. when you don't have to worry about the dark colors running. Because this is a much larger palette, you don't have to redo the water all the time, but also because it's bigger, it likes to dry out quicker, so sometimes you gotta just add more to it and then keep going from there. So I'm gonna fill this one in all the way and then go through and do the other parts. Told you, see, my eyebrow disappeared on this one. I just like having the white as the base, really, just because that's how you know you got everything covered and that the other things are gonna have a nice base color to. Yeah, the Wolf watercolor paint, the Wolf with the E at the end, that's actually the preferred brand by most professionals. They don't, aside from Krylon. It's a very affordable option, and you can find it at many Halloween stores. It's like the best quality that you can get at an affordable price. Most places you go to get some really good ones, it's like $100 for like 3 colors. I might be exaggerating a little bit, but I was raised a good one garage sale, so everything looks expensive to me. But the Wolf stuff is actually really affordable and a lot cheaper than the super fancy stuff, and it works as well, if not better. And like I said, it's watercolor, so it comes off really easy at the end of the night. No, I usually try to do my eyes last whenever I'm doing a specific color around them, just because I personally have a problem with like eyeliner and stuff. My eyes, like if I get Exhibit A. If I get anywhere near them with an eyeliner pencil or liquid eyeliner, they start watering instantly. Just because it's like they know what's happening. It's pretty annoying, actually, especially when I'm trying to do something like this. So I gotta make sure they don't water, and I try to do them last. Just so there's less to fix. As you see, this one is a lot farther over than this one is. I ended up making it bigger by accident, but you know what, that's fine. If every pork chop were perfect, we wouldn't have hot dogs. You know what, hot dogs are better anyway. The good quality kind, not the crappy ones. Pardon my French. My eye's still watering a little bit. I accidentally poked it with my brush. Oh, my eyes hate makeup. My eyes are just like, why can't you keep your painting talents and your drawing talents? Paint and drawing not on your face. Let's see how we're looking. Even that out a little bit. So I need to actually go back and make the red a little bit bigger on this spot right here. And put this guy up here a tiny bit. And I gotta fix this guy a little bit. The angles end up making it, because you want these lines to all go the same way. So sometimes you gotta go back and do a second round just to make sure you get it right. And so it looks good. Actually, I need a bit more pink in here anyway. Alright. So now that our colors are done for that part, now because a lot of them have the lip color and almost every single one of them have gold, we are going to use, first I'm actually open this one. Oh, the opening of new packages, I hate it so. Oh god, this is so annoying. Okay, got it. We're going to use Wolf Gold. We're going to mix the water in just like we did before. I'm going to do some gold lips now. I'm actually going a little around my actual lips, just because I want to exaggerate it a little bit, because this is a Venetian mask, you know. You gotta go carnival with this shit. Again, pardon my French, sorry, I'm a little bit of a sailor. What else are we gonna do with the gold aside from the edges? We're going to. This gold's actually a lot lighter than I thought it would be. Now, I'm going to use a different brush than the angled one we've been using, because it's a little too fat for what we want to do now. Now we want. Are these guys gonna work? Okay. Now, this is the brush that actually came with those watercolors, the wolf one. As you see, it's got a really nice, fine little tip. And that means it's going to be able to get nice little tiny details. I gotta restart that music again because it stopped again. It's supposed to replay itself. Don't know why it's not doing that. Littler brush, you're gonna have to reload it a lot more often. But now we're going to do cute little design. This is not very thick. I had to adjust my game plan a tiny bit. Okay, so we're going to adjust this a tiny bit first. We're going to deviate from using just the gold. We're going to go in and put down some brown first. Because then we'll have a nice base color to put the gold on top of. It'll help it show up more. And it also helps the gold look a little more gold. As you see, I'm just making little dots along the edges, because I'm not going to get too detailed into this. We don't want it to look too weird, because I'm just going with this fairly simple one. Messed up a tiny bit. You know what? It's late and I'm not that picky right now. I'm a little weird. I like to paint in layers. Other people sometimes like to block it out, so that way they know that they don't have to worry about stuff overlapping. But I find layers help because you sometimes change your game plan a little bit. And as you see, I'm trying to keep it just along, kind of like the edge between the line, between the red and the white. I'm kind of trying to have it overlap a little bit. Using this brown, which covered the mistake I made with the black. Now I'm having to reload my brush a lot more for this because it's little and it's drying out fast. We're going to skip ahead to where I finished doing all the brown dots. Alright, I finished all the brown dots. Now I'm going to use this Q-tip, okay, to clean up the edges a little bit and make it a lot smoother. I just dipped it in the water. And this way it's going to pick up all of the paint. And you're going to be able to even out a little bit smudged there, so I'm going to get the other end. I hope we don't run out of them. Probably a lot easier with clean water, but I'm too lazy to go get more. You can see that I am just cleaning up over here. I'm doing the far side of my face first just because it's a lot more difficult. Get out there. I'm cleaning off my ears at this point because we do not want black ears, especially when I have to work tomorrow. And it's actually okay if you drag the color along a little bit. It's going to help you create a nice outline for it, for the mask, see? Alrighty. Now mixing it up, we're going to do black dots around the edge of the mask. Or not black dots, brown dots, sorry. Like so. Brush. Doing this because Venetian masks always have a really cool edge to them as well. And the watercolor around everywhere else is dried by now. So if you have an itch, you can go through and scratch it. It's not going to be a problem. You can see I'm just creating a nice line on that. My hair was giving me an illusion that I had hit it, and I did not. So what happens when you're using this as a mirror? Unless you just using an actual mirror? I was improvising because my only mirror that I have in my actual bedroom is huge and would not prop up behind here. It's really hard for me with the little screen to see between the brown and the black. That looks good. Alright, you can see now the lines are all connected up. We have a nice little ring around my face. I'm just going to get a little more over here. Alright, so it's good to check it and make sure you get everything. We did the lines there too on my nose and everything. Now we clean off the brush. Now we're going to add some more water to this because this looks like hot chocolate now. Turn it up a little bit. Now we're going back to the gold color. Dip it in water. Get it all wet. Now this part's going to be time consuming, so I have to make sure that I get the same spot, more or less, where the brown dots were. You see how they show up a lot better now? The brown was behind them. And you're just going to follow. That's made in brown. Because it's such a dark color underneath it, you're going to have to clean off your brush in between times where you reload it. Make sure it doesn't get all muddy looking. Now I'm going to skip to when it's all finished, so that way you guys don't have to sit through me doing a whole shit ton more. What are they called? Oh yeah, dots. Alright, now I have finished dotting all of the outlines as well as dotting the entirety of my face. I also did another coat of the gold on my lips just because I felt like it. I felt like adding another layer to make it prettier. Now I'm going to use the same brush that I've been using. I'm going to go back to the black that I was using earlier. I'm going to go around my other eye to make the eye hole. Going around the eye that's currently red. And I'm going to be extra careful at this point. To make it look like a real outline of an eye hole. And I like to get as close to my actual eye as possible. So that way when I close it, it looks like I'm actually accidentally got it in my eye a little bit, so currently my eye is a little bit blurry. Trying to dry it off so it doesn't mess up my makeup. Now I'm just going to go back to the gold for a quick second. I'm going to go around the outline I just made and mirror it after I stop having blurry vision because I need to be able to see what I'm doing. Okay, that's very sloppy. I apologize for how sloppy that is. Gotta fix it. Okay, that's a very crappy line. But you know what? I really don't care. I'm just gonna go. Now we're just making a similar line on the other side. Now we have Venetian Mask. Bye.